I'm Nick Pettit.
I'm Jason Seifer.
And you're watching the Treehouse Show, your weekly dose of internets where we talk about all things web design, web development, and more.
In this episode, we'll be talking about front-end development guidelines, Sublime Text, Sass and Compass, and more.
Let's check it out.
Let's do that.
First up is a really cool list of front-end guidelines from Tmw.
I read that as TMRW, which is tomorrow. I thought it was like a future post, like tomorrow's front-end guidelines.
Nope, tomorrow is today with these front-end guidelines. Here's the table of contents. You can see that this is actually quite extensive. We're not going to go into all of this right here on the show, but they have some very common things that you might encounter when doing front-end development, such as indentation. They suggest a default tab size as 4. They have a couple of guidelines for browser support, readability, what type of markup you should be using, general markup guidelines, how to quote attributes. That's a popular topic as well. Lots of cool stuff here. Don't have time to go into all of it, but definitely be sure to check this out, because if you're new to coding, having really good coding conventions can help you out a lot.
I'm going to be honest, Nick, I usually set my tab size to 2.
I do as well.
That's it's a Ruby thing, usually.
2 spaces.
2 spaces, the deuce. Next up, we have a plugin for Sublime Text called Sublimall, which is billed as, quote, one Sublime Text, all your devices. Now, if you've ever used Sublime Text before, you can really customize it and personalize it a ton of different ways. However, if you have 2 or 3 computers, well, you're going to have to reconfigure it, hopefully the same way every single time. Not so anymore with this plugin called Sublimall, or maybe Sublimall? Sublimall. So anyway, very, very easy to use. You just install the package, you sync it, and then you stay in sync forever. You just install that on all of your devices, and boom, you are good to go. So it's super easy to install. You just need to have 7-zip installed, and then done. Now, I do recommend encrypting your settings for this plugin. It's a totally free service, but if you don't encrypt your settings, it can be seen by the developer, if that matters to you. Personally, I guess I'm a little bit of a free spirit. I don't really care if my tab indentation preference is synced and people on the internet can see it. I mean, I just admitted it here. Two spaces is a tab.
Nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide.
Next up is Sache.
Except my shame.
We all have some shame to hide.
Barely concealing that one.
Next up is Sache, where you can discover Sass and Compass Extensions. This is actually built by one of our very own Treehouse employees, which is pretty cool. He had some help on this.
Is it maybe Sache?
Sache?
Yeah.
I thought it was Sache, like the dance move.
Yeah, but you would expect an accent on the E, right?
I think you're right.
I think the accent would be an aigu.
I could be saying this wrong. Point being, you can discover Sass and Compass Extensions. Sass, of course, allows you to pre-compile your CSS and make it a little bit more enhanced with things like variables, mix-ins, and so on. However, you can further enhance Sass and Compass, which is a Sass framework, using extensions, and it can be a little bit tricky navigating and discovering new extensions, but this tool makes it pretty easy. Here we have a table with the name of several popular extensions, and then there's a description for each one, so you can get a quick TLDR on what each one is. There's a couple of tags, so you can navigate the site by tag, and you can see how many stars it has on GitHub. Now, when I click on each one of these, it will take you to the GitHub page where you can go ahead and pull the code. Pretty nifty.
Very, very nice. We're going to sashay over onto the next link right here, which is called Instant Click. This is a new JavaScript plugin that, quote, dramatically speeds up your website, making navigation effectively instant in most cases. Now, what this does is it preloads the next page that your user is going to go to in the background. It uses a couple different technologies to get this done. It uses push state and AJAX, which is, quote, a combo known as PJAX. Now, if your browser doesn't support push state, this fully degrades. So what happens is somebody goes and clicks on your site, and while they're clicking on the link, gets reloaded and replaced in the page. So the reason that they want to do this is because there is some latency between the mouse down event and when everything actually gets fired. There's a demo on here, so check this out. This will tell you the delay between your hover, mouse down, touch start, and click events. So here's a normal link. Click it. You can see I hovered for 1,825 milliseconds, and the mouse down event was 135 milliseconds. So really, really useful plugin. You can find a link to that in the show notes, which you can get to at youtube.com/GoTreehouse, or search for us in iTunes at the Treehouse Show and rate us while you're there.
So does instant click actually try to predict what I'm going to do next?
It is.
They don't know me.
Yeah, they do. You are an open book to this JavaScript plugin.
Next up is CSS A to Z, which is an entirely HTML CSS animated sketch for each letter. And there's a new one for every day. So this is pretty cool. N is for Nautilus, M is for metronome, L is for lava lamp. Lots of really pretty cool ones here. I'm very impressed by this library that they've built up. But I think the most impressive thing here, obviously, is the animation. So if you're new to CSS animation and you're maybe wondering how to do cool things like this, you can check this out and inspect the code and see how it's done.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next link, which is over on the 8 Arms blog, which could also be a spider blog with that name. It's called Go Ahead with the Treehouse Show. Now, we're not going to play this right here, but I absolutely love this. They say they're massive fans of the Treehouse Show. Clearly, they have great taste. And they made a short video which goes through and shows different clips of us saying, go ahead. I guess we say that a lot.
I never say go ahead.
It's pretty much all you in the video. And I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. Pretty nifty.
Go ahead and check that out.
Yeah.
Next up is this really cool app called Hemingway. Hemingway makes your writing bold and clear. So if you're trying to check your copy, you can go ahead and paste it into Hemingway. There's that word again, go ahead. I wish Hemingway would highlight that for me. You can check the readability here. It says grade 7, which is perfect for Jason. And over here in the sidebar, you can see which sentences are hard to read. So this sentence, it's highlighting in yellow. That's hard to read. You can see sentences that are very hard to read. It highlights adverbs, words or phrases that could be simpler, and uses of the passive voice, which is kind of a grammatical no-no. There's lots of cool stuff here, but like I said, if you paste in your own text, it will give you good tips about how you can improve your copy. So very cool stuff.
That is very cool. Next up, we have a project called localForage, which sounds pretty similar to local storage. Now, this is a little library from Mozilla that really helps improving the offline experience of your web app by using asynchronous storage, but it's using a local storage-like API. Now, the reason that you're going to want to use this is if your application goes offline, boom, you can just pick up using local storage and maybe use callbacks for later. Now, callbacks are primarily how this differs from using the local storage API, hence why they call it localForage. So you can see you can set an item with a key, and then this is what you would do it with local storage, but with localForage, you just use that particular callback. You can also use JavaScript promises if that's what you're into, and it also comes with a polyfill for browsers that don't yet support those promises. So that's it. That's about all we have for this lovely episode. Nick, who are you on Twitter?
I'm at NickRP.
And I am at Jason Seifer. For more information on anything we talked about, check out our show notes at youtube.com/GoTreehouse or search for us in iTunes at The Treehouse Show.
And of course, if you'd like to see more videos like this one about web design, web development, mobile business, and so much more, be sure to check us out at teamtreehouse.com. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Thank you.